making my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dordme, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good evening, this is Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howie. On the show tonight...
You said, but you haven't got a willy.
Oh. Wrong think inside the Big Brother house. And...
British people standing with Jews. And look how we're treated.
There is a place
look how we're treated. Get off me.
Come stand here.
Get your hands off me.
That counter-protester at yesterday's ceasefire march will be joining us with a colleague from the cell, fresh from the cell plus.
True unrest, and it's scary. It's scary as a local resident, somebody who's born and bred here.
And can you be born a bigot? The Reform councillor had since been reported to the police. Some comedians and I will be answering some crazy cultural conundrums from a live studio audience. We also have the latest from the Darlington Nurses and a feminist conference which doesn't seem to have a problem with sexual abuse if the victims are Jewish. But first, the news with Aaron Armstrong.
Thank you, Josh. Good evening to you. 7:15 here in the GB newsroom. The Israeli Prime Minister says the imminent release of all hostages held by Hamas is an historic event that some people did not believe would happen. During a short statement delivered in Hebrew, Benjamin Netanyahu promised families their loved ones would be returned, saying tomorrow is the beginning of a new path. But those families have been gathering in Hostages Square in Tel Aviv to celebrate their imminent return after the Israeli government confirmed earlier all 20 living captives will be handed over simultaneously to the Red Cross in Gaza tomorrow morning before being transferred to southern Israel. Mr. Netanyahu says the campaign against Israel's enemies has not ended, although the country's president, Isaac Herzog, appeared to contradict that statement earlier.
We've always said, bring back the hostages, it will change the Middle East. As soon as the hostages are back, Israel is not going to war. Israel is committed to fulfilling this agreement, and Israel wants to seek peace with its neighbors and bring a change to the future of the region at last.
Sir Keir Starmer's on his way to Egypt to attend an international peace summit as part of efforts to secure the fragile ceasefire. The Prime Minister is expected to pay particular tribute to Donald Trump, who will chair the meeting of world leaders alongside the Egyptian president. Now, they will be attempting to address issues like Hamas disarmament, rebuilding Gaza and its future governance, which could derail the peace plan. But the US Vice President J.D. Vance says an historic breakthrough is close.
We're on the cusp of true peace in the Middle East, really for the first time in my lifetime. Certainly, these 20 hostages are going to come home to their families. I think this is a great moment for our country. Our country should be proud of our diplomats who made this happen. It's really a great moment for the world, too, which is why the president's going to go over there and celebrate with these hostages. But it's a great thing, and I'm very excited about it.
The White House says the UK's failure to prosecute 2 Britons accused of spying for China undermines the special relationship and could threaten intelligence sharing between the countries. President Trump's understood to be increasingly concerned about the UK's reliability after the case against former parliamentary researcher Chris Cash and academic Christopher Berry collapsed last month. The charges were dropped after the government failed to provide evidence that China was a threat to national security. And tributes are being paid to the Hollywood actress Diane Keaton, who died yesterday at the age of 79. Keaton rose to fame in the 1970s after playing Kay Adams in The Godfather. She also won an Oscar for Annie Hall, one of many collaborations alongside her one-time boyfriend, Woody Allen. Her co-star in First Wives Club, Goldie Hawn, said she stole the hearts of the world. Another co-star, Bette Midler, described her as hilarious and a complete original. Ben Stiller says Diane Keaton was an icon of comedy and one of the greatest film actors ever. Those are your headlines. More from me at 8 o'clock. Now it's back to Josh.
This is a show where we cast our gaze across the spectrum of culture, current affairs and politics, doing our best to bring a bit of common sense to that which has become senseless. Coming up on the show tonight, we have a fresh new development on the case from the Darlington Nurses who spoke out against the NHS policy which forced them to dress in front of a man. You don't want to miss that, trust me. And a drama has erupted at a women's rights conference this week when trans activists smashed the venue's windows and sprayed paint. However, on the inside, another disturbing drama unfolded. I'm going to give you all the details on that soon. Plus, a group of artists are fighting back against art scene ruled by ideology. Find out how this group will bring back beauty and meaning over politics and posturing. First, though, there are still some good judges left in the UK. This week, Sir Joel Bentham KC overturned the conviction of Hamid Koskan, the man prosecuted for burning a Quran. The judge reminded us all of a vital truth. There is no offence of blasphemy in the English law. The Crown Prosecution Service tried to sneak in a backdoor blasphemy law punishing someone simply for offending religious feelings. But Justice Bentham wasn't having it, saying freedom of expression must include the right to offend, shock or disturb. This ruling is a clear win for free speech, though it doesn't set legal precedent. Unfortunately, the CPS meanwhile refuses to admit fault and shows no sign of stopping these disturbing prosecutions for offensive speech. Joining me now to discuss this is the justice and crime journalist David Shipley. David, welcome to the show. David, I would argue this is a pivotal moment, a turning moment for this country. If this had been allowed to stand, I don't know what our country would look like in 10 years' time, frankly.
Yeah, I think had the appeal not been allowed, we clearly would have an Islamic blasphemy law and a law in which, you know, a man who burned a Quran would have been punished and the man who attacked him with a knife would have been allowed to go free. And that would be terrifying. I don't think we've won, though. I think the reality is the CPS, as you just mentioned, essentially tried to create a blasphemy law. You know, initially they tried...
By racial incitement or racial... They used the word, it was racial incitement,
Well, it's been forgotten now, but the initial charge was that he was offending the religious institution of Islam. And public order law in this country says you can't commit a public order offence against an institution. So the CPS lawyers, we don't know which lawyers there, invented a whole law and charged him with it. It was only when the press caught on to it and we made noise that they said, oh, well, we didn't mean that, it's a mistake, but here's the new charge. And they carried on persecuting Hamid over this act, which is really concerning, I think.
Yeah, I mean, has there been any level of responsibility taken? Anybody in the CPS who's answered for this or even just said, look, we got it wrong, we've learned our lesson?
None at all. So I went and got a comment from them just after the appeal was allowed this week. And their whole attitude seems to be, we followed the processes, everything's fine, we didn't do anything wrong, nothing to see here. I asked them if they were going to review how they approach these kind of speech offences, would they look at other prosecutions that are underway? Nothing. So they, like much of the civil service, I think, have this attitude that as long as they follow the process, all's good, and they are very, very unwilling to admit fault.
Well, this is it, but it's not. This isn't following the process. This is inventing a process, and that's the particularly worrying part of it. For the people who aren't aware of this case, this is a Turkish man, an ex-Muslim, who stood in front of the Turkish consulate, I believe, and burned his copy of the Quran. Now, we can certainly disagree with that. We might think it might be morally wrong, whatever it is, the point is it's not illegal, certainly in this country. And someone walking past went in, he said, I'm going to kill you. He went and got his bread knife and came out, and we saw video footage of him slashing and trying to... And then a passerby even spitting on him and kicking him while he was down.
And that passerby has never been caught. Of course, he just rode off on his...
I'm sure the police really looked hard for him.
Well, yes, I'm sure. But yeah, I think this is... I mean,
it must have been hard to find him because he was a Deliveroo driver, or he was one of those drivers.
So few of them, yeah, so few.
How would they possibly know who ordered the food around that time and area? It would take Sherlock Holmes to be able to solve such a crime.
Have to phone up Deliveroo and ask for some data or something. It'd be impossible. I think I should say I don't think it's morally wrong to burn a Quran. I think
but some people might, is the point. But
sure.
It's not illegal.
Sure, and absolutely shouldn't be illegal. I think the really disturbing thing here is we see this again and again and again. Islamic preferences are becoming pushed into law. No one should be prosecuted for burning a Quran. It's a perfectly legitimate act of protest in a free country. We are not yet, thank God, an Islamic theocratic dictatorship. So this should never have even resulted in arrest. And the fact that there are people within the police and within the Crown Prosecution Service who took this all the way should chill us.
Well, of course, I mean, if it had been the Bible or the Torah, I don't believe that this would have in any way gone to that point, let alone arrest, let alone going forward
of course
through the CPS.
You know, people... Well, we've had 2 years of people saying terrible things about Jewish people on the streets of London. You know, Christianity is criticised and attacked all the time. And no one ever gets prosecuted for it. So no, of course it wouldn't have resulted in prosecution were other religions. And I think the issue is that, you know, many Muslims react with a lot of anger when they feel their beliefs are criticised or threatened. We saw a few years ago that schoolboy who brought a Quran into school, and in a sort of schoolyard tussle, it got a bit scuffed, and I think a page got torn slightly. And, you know, you had 130 imams writing into the... To the school saying this is terrible, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. This is an inherently sort of fragile, angry response to perceived slights. And these people who make huge noise and come up with all these threats do seem to be compelling the institutions.
Well, I think the most shameful thing, if anybody remembers the footage at the time, was the police and the school organised a sort of press conference where the mother was kind of shamed in front of all of these Muslim men and kind of almost seemingly pleading for her child's life, as opposed to the police doing their job, which is if someone makes a threat or a death threat of violence, you go out and arrest them.
Yeah. Absolutely, and this is this cowardice, right? This tendency to say, oh, let's just go along with this. Let's manage community relations. And actually, it's exactly the same tendency that we saw with the Muslim rape gangs. You know, the tendency to say, we'll just try to keep a lid on this. We don't want to cause trouble. We won't actually say what's going on. We won't name the problem, and it's deadly if we allow this to continue.
Well, you're kicking the can down the road. I think the most insidious part of this whole case for me was in the initial finding, in the initial judgment, it was the fact that the gentleman who went out to stab him was offended, like was so grievously offended that kind of proved the case that he should then be found guilty.
And the CPS barrister in the appeal was still pushing that argument, saying that the mere fact that someone was angry enough to go and get a knife proved that this was a provocative act. And that's crazy. It's pure victim blaming. To say that, oh, well, the fact that someone attacked you for this proves that you did a bad thing. It makes no sense at all.
Well, it's not. But it's not that it also makes no sense. But it's just, as I say, the legal precedent for it. The whole point. And as this judgment has come through from the new judgment, basically saying that you don't have the right in this country to not be offended. I mean, this is one of the core foundations of free speech. And yet, when you have the lower courts essentially saying, if you are offended, you are right to be able to go out and stab somebody, then it just flips it totally around. The entirety of our society becomes about who's most offended then.
Of course, and it gives people who say they're offended a right to veto any speech they don't like, which would be chilling. And I think I'm often quite quick to criticise judges who I think have got it wrong. And I should say that Justice Benetham, his judgment was incredible. You know, he really made it very clear that this was a free speech issue.
It was a beautiful thing to read. The sad part of it is that it's not sort of legally binding for other cases, is that right?
That's right, yeah. Because this was held in a Crown Court, so Justice Benetham with 2 magistrates, it's not binding in the same way that a sort of full High Court appeal hearing would be. It is, I understand, likely to be sort of considered helpful to future appeal courts, but we aren't safe, and I think we need to actually get new legislation to make this very clear.
Have you seen any evidence of politicians speaking up to try and force the CPS to kind of take some responsibility for what's going on, so that there are obviously individuals within the CPS who are working to push forward a blasphemy law by backdoor? This is not a conspiracy, this is just exactly what we've seen. Unless someone's held to account, there's nothing to stop them from trying it again.
Yeah, Robert Jenrick, I think, has been quite vocal in this. So he attended the appeal, and he has been sort of putting out social media messaging, talking about the CPS issue. But that's where we need to look. Like you said, the CPS has tried to create new law, which itself is incredibly undemocratic and insidious. You know, law should be made by Parliament. This is fairly basic. And we have this situation where civil servants with no democratic right are inventing law in a way which would restrain our speech rights. We have to get to the bottom of this. We need to find out who within the CPS actually drafted that charge, who approved it, and actually how many other cases have there been where they've used this term, the religious institution of Islam, as a victim. Because there may be many. I've been trying to get this information out to them via Freedom of Information requests for some months now, and they are resisting it throughout. So we need to get to the truth.
Absolutely. Well, look, thank you so much for joining us. I really hope that they have learned their lesson. I suspect not. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for Justice crime journalist David Shipley. Next on Free Speech Nation, women have been banned from running, but can anyone guess by whom? Find out after the break, when me and my comedian guests will be asking and answering questions from our live studio audience. That's these people here. See you in 2 minutes.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howie. My comedian guests this evening are Stephen Allen and Cressida Wetton.
I'm doing all right, thanks. A little bit of knee ache, but that happens at our age, doesn't it?
Sure,
the back's obviously hurting, and my elbows. Oof, you don't want to get into it. This is what old men do, isn't it? We just
That's
talk about
all we
things.
do. I just want to talk to you about how many times you go to the toilet.
Well, these days, quite a lot through the night, but...
I don't want to talk about it.
Check
So
Twitter.
it's too painful for me. How are you, Cressida? We don't need to
Working
talk about-
knees, pain-free, going to the toilet an appropriate number of times, smashing it.
Winning at life there. So we're going to get some questions from our audience, and our first question is from Anton.
Is the BBC about to become transphobic?
Wow, Anton, by the way, I loved your mic technique. It was very swift. He has been practicing very... He's a professional. So, yes, is the BBC about to become transphobic? The BBC has suspended staff training workshops on transgender and LGBTQ+ issues to check if they use the word sex correctly. This comes after the Supreme Court ruling in April that sex in the Equality Act refers to biological sex, not self-identified gender. So this is a positive step, maybe, towards our national broadcaster.
That's very big of you. I'm glad that...
Well, it would be nice if they knew what a woman was.
And they are getting there, Josh.
Really,
and it's
slowly
only
but
taken
surely.
a few years, so well done them. You can't fault them, really, for this, can you? I mean, to answer the question, yes, they are becoming transphobic by their own previous
Standards,
definitions.
yeah.
But it's all going in the right direction now, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think if they do another couple of thousand of these courses, maybe they might start reporting the truth on these matters.
Yeah, some people might think this is like a small story. Why do you bother about the training courses of some organisation? This is big, because I work for the BBC, and it's about 95% training courses and 5% broadcast. Maybe 4% broadcast. Honestly, when I worked for a radio station, you had to do the odd online training course. And all it is you watch a video, and you click next at the end, and it says you passed it. So one evening, I watched a couple of films, put the laptop on mute, and I'm now technically qualified in so many things. It's amazing. I can do health and safety assessments for outside broadcast. Apparently, that's how stupid it is. But this is what's going to happen. This is actually working out what words mean, if something's likely to use the Equalities Act in some sort of legal test. And what's happening is we're separating out the words sex and gender. And do you know, I kind of don't mind, because gender is a word that no one really ever used or knew what it meant. The only time you ever used it was when you didn't want to put sex down, so that some bloke went, yes, please, when they filled in the form. That was the only reason. We thought it meant the same as sex. So now you can have that word and do what you want with it.
Well, they deliberately brought the word in to kind of conflate the idea that the gender was sex and to make it confusing, and that's kind of where we got to. Now we can get back to some hardcore sex, and that's where I like it.
I'm trained in that as well.
Yeah, I remember. That was the video you were watching at the time. So anyway, we are now going to move on to our next question, who is from Navina.
Hi. Has there been any solution found for stopping men being in women's sports? Which, if they don't, we won't have women's sports anymore.
Well, exactly, yes. There's a solution being found now to stopping men in women's sports. Well, I guess the solution is, it seems to be from this story, no women's sports. A charity fun run called Muslim Charity Run, organised by the East London Mosque, has banned women and girls over the age of 12. The event has been billed as inclusive and family-friendly and is open to men and to boys of all ages, but organisers insist that female teenagers and women can be forbidden from joining in. So, yeah, this is quite a novel way of... What do you think of because there's been an issue of, you know, men going into women's sports, but if we just if we just sort of ban all women's sports, then problem solved, right?
Absolutely. not a solution you'd want.
No, you wouldn't, but,
no.
well...
No, I think it's horrendous that they would even imagine to have men in women's sports. Men are so much stronger physically. They're going to win all the time.
Absolutely, and present company accepted. Oh, yeah. Of course. So, Cressida, this is why you left the East London Mosque. Because you are such a runner.
I just love running.
She just loves to run.
Oh,
You're like Forrest Gump.
Thanks,
But yeah, this is a policy. I believe it's been in place actually for a few years now, and now it's kind of getting some attention. Yeah,
I didn't know that. I'm glad we're talking about it. It's outrageous, isn't it? This is an organisation who are creating a fun run An inclusive fun run, but not for women once they hit 12, not for girls over 12. It makes me so angry because I'm done. Like, I thought I'd finished with feminism when I was about 19. You know, I was a bit like, and then I got over it. And now it's like I'm going to have to revisit feminism. We need it. We need it back.
Back to basics.
This is just discrimination against women. It's not on.
Absolutely. And this, of course, this charity is a mosque charity. It receives, it's got charity status. It receives a bit of taxpayers' money, and essentially saying, yeah, no, the women. I mean, this is. I'm sorry, this is kind of like Afghanistan. Like, this is, women have to stay at home. They can't do that. They can't participate in that. I mean, this is in the UK.
Yeah, did you not love one of the arguments was that it's not? They said it's not against the Equalities Act because there's a provision in there for segregated sports. And by segregated sports, you kind of imagine men's events, women's events, not men's events, go home, which is technically segregation, I guess.
No,
but that's not what they meant.
Men's events and running machine.
Yeah, stay indoors. You don't need to worry because, as you say, men tend to be faster than women. So even if you start out all having everyone involved in the run, at some point you're not running with the women anyway, unless you're very, very bad. And I think that's also in the story. The fact that they'll let 12-year-old girls run because they think they can outrun them, but as soon as she's getting a bit quicker, you embarrass yourself. I think that's what it comes down to.
It might be they just don't want. Yeah, they don't want the competition. Yeah, that might be. That may be.
It might also not be that.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to go with that.
It's probably not that. All right. Our next question is from Mark.
Yes. Good evening. As a Tower Hamlets resident, I was actually wondering if it's OK to hate Jewish in Tower Hamlets.
I like how you had to look up the word Jews there. It's OK in Tower Hamlets to hate Jews.
You've come to the right place.
I just forgot where I live, that's all.
So this is London Council Tower Hamlets has left anti-Semitism off a website page promoting support for National Hate Crime Awareness Week. However, the website does include many other forms of prejudice, including transphobia and Islamophobia. So this, what do you think about this? Do you think this was deliberate? They're claiming, no, it's just a total accident that anti-Semitism got
Tower
left.
Hamlets is a council where it's mostly run by a Muslim community. So you're going to get a very prejudiced report coming out from anywhere.
Well, maybe or maybe not. I mean, there is no evidence, of course, of anything like that. But yes, it has been left off anti-Semitism. It has to be said that Tower Hamlets, I believe, has a much higher rate of Jew hate than any other ethnicity.
Well, there aren't a huge number of Jewish people there.
So I think it's like 0.6% or something, and they are. So there's about 200 attacks on Jews, where there's about 300 attacks on Muslims, but then they represent about 40% of the population.
Yeah.
So it's a much higher rate.
Well, to be fair to them, the Tower Hamlets have said this was a mistake, and it's to do with the way the picture was cropped, because anti-Semitism was in small letters at the edge. And they've now corrected it, and it does include anti-Semitism.
Well, that's it. It's just, it's just such a coincidence, Steve. There's little anti-Semitic left up there. Let's just crop it. Oh, no, what can we do?
I did think there's a chance that it was... Because they list loads of other types of prejudice, but not anti-Semitism. And I did think it is a trickier one to spell. It's I's and E's, do you know what I mean? The vowels are a bit tricky. But then in the modern-day world of spell check, it's probably not that. So you've got to look... I think we can rule... Through deductive logic, we can rule that one out. And it's just on their website as well, where they missed it out and they put it back on. I also think there's probably no one thinking, I was going to do some anti-Semitism today, but I checked the website, and it says you can't do it, Randy, so I probably won't. So all of this is a bit pointless.
Yeah, but I wanted to do the story, so... so whatever, Steve. Right, does having monkeypox make you racist? That is the question that is from Jeff. Jeff, where are you? Jeff, could you ask that question, please?
Yeah. Smooth.
Jeff,
ask a different one.
Mark Duranic, could you please sort out my autocue as well?
I've had my thunder stolen.
I'm sorry.
I've been rehearsing that line all evening.
Well, do it in interpretive dance.
Does having monkeypox make you racist?
Oh, good question.
Wow, that's an original question.
Or what about, supposing you had chickenpox, does that make you anti-avian?
There we go. Thank you very much. You saved us on the fly there. This is America's top public health agency has reverted to calling Mpox monkeypox, despite a broad consensus that the original name for the virus is stigmatising and scientifically inaccurate. So I don't know if you're familiar, Jeff, with Mbop.
The Hanson song.
Yeah, the Hanson song. So this is what I'm reminded of when I hear pox, boo-ba-da-ba-boo. OK.
Sorry. That was worse than the disease. That rather get
I'd rather apologise.
I thought you'd forgotten to take your tablets.
I've got mpox.
For a minute, I panicked and thought you were going to do it in interpretive dance.
Yes.
I'm thrilled that you didn't.
Yeah, so this is supposedly the American Drug Administration are becoming less woke, and they've gone back to good old monkeypox.
It's always pendulums, isn't it? It always goes too far. Is this necessary? Do we need to call it?
Well, it's not named after. Because it's actually rodents that give the disease.
Exactly. So it is scientifically inaccurate.
Yeah, but it was discovered with monkeys, I think, in the 50s when we were just checking out makeup on them and stuff.
Yeah.
When they have it. What do you think about this?
Well, yeah, I think that people are conflating the two issues. It is scientifically inaccurate, but so are loads of other diseases. Like, the only time you need to worry about swine flu is when humans are catching it, so it's not the swine part anymore. I once had athlete's foot, and I'll tell you what, I'm not an athlete. So there's many of these that tennis elbow could have done the same joke. There's loads of different categories like that it's scientifically inaccurate, but to then presume that somehow it's racist is itself racist, isn't it? They're saying, oh, you can't use that word because you know what that means. No, it doesn't. To every right-minded person, the word monkey is not a racist word, especially, I mean, loads of diseases could have been called monkeypox, because you're right, we tested everything on monkeys back in the day, so they kind of had all the diseases. So one of them's going to get named after them.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it. It's the racism is in the eye of the beholder. No one who's not racist... I'm trying to get this the right way around, but if you're not racist, you're not thinking monkeys and having it racist connotations.
Don't give me racist eyes, Josh. OK, fair. Yes.
What the hell's that? Is that like a? I don't know.
It's a song from the 80s.
What is racist eyes? Now I'm getting paranoid.
I'm just saying, if they'd already got to the point where we called it mpox, it's a bit provocative, isn't it, to then go backwards?
But they've effectively made it the M word. That's what they've done by doing that, haven't they? Oh. Yeah. And then ChatGPT has the M dash. I'm all confused. I'm glad we're back.
Sorry, got a bit of Chinese flu. Right, next on Free Speech Nation, a fresh new development on the case from the Darlington Nurses who spoke out against the NHS policy that forced them to dress in front of a man. You do not want to miss this, trust me. See you in 2 minutes.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. If you're heading off to southern Europe in the next few days, there's plenty of dry and warm weather on the way for most of us. Further west, though, there will be some heavy showers, particularly across Iberia, and that's due to the remnants of Storm Alice that's been affecting parts of eastern Spain over the weekend. So parts of eastern Spain, the Balearics, seeing some heavy showers and thunderstorms on Monday. There'll also be some showers across parts of Sardinia, Sicily, and also parts of Greece as well. But many places will have a fine and dry few days of weather to come with plenty of sunshine.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Whilst high pressure will keep it generally dry for most of us through the coming week, there will be a lot of low cloud. That means it will be gloomy at times, with the best of any sunshine, generally speaking, across the north and the west of the UK. So high pressure dominates through the next few days. Very few ice bars on the chart, so not much in the way of breeze, and therefore things not really changing day to day. Through this evening, we will see generally cloudy skies developing across most of England and Wales, the best of any clear breaks in the west. And here we could see 1 or 2 fog patches, but these are most likely, I think, across parts of Scotland by the morning. With that cloud blanket coming in across England and Wales, it won't be as cool as it was last night. Temperatures generally holding up into the high single figures for most. But across parts of Scotland where the skies stay clear, we could see temperatures fall low enough to give a touch of frost in some rural areas first thing. Otherwise, some fairly dense patches of fog, particularly across the central belt first thing in the day. But that will slowly lift as we go through the morning. Quite cloudy skies for Northern Ireland and the vast majority of England and Wales too, with some drizzle or light showers here and there potentially too. But I'm hopeful that the cloud will break in a few spots as we go through the course of the day. Western parts of Wales, the far southwest of England perhaps most favoured, but I think the best of the sunshine on Monday will generally be across the far north of England and in particular across Scotland, where it should be a glorious afternoon for most of us. In the sunshine, the light winds will help it feel fairly pleasant for October, 15 or 16 degrees for some. In the south, though, under the cloudy skies, feeling relatively cool. Not much changes as we go into Tuesday either. Many parts of England and Wales still pretty gloomy and at times a little bit damp as well. The best of the sunshine for more northern parts of the UK, where Scotland and Northern England should see a reasonable amount. But overall, the cloudy theme will dominate through the rest of this week. Not much in the way of sunshine. Temperatures fairly close to average as well for the time of year.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howie. Now, 4 Darlington nurses are facing professional misconduct investigations after speaking out against NHS policy forcing them to undress in front of a male colleague identifying as female. Their legal team says the complaints are ideologically driven and protected under the Equality and Human Rights Acts. They are. But the nurses already taking their NHS trust to tribunal have received public backing from millions, including J.K. Rowling, and support from politicians. Critics say the Nursing and Midwifery Council is being weaponised to silence lawful beliefs, risking careers over speaking obvious truths about single-sex spaces. To discuss this, I'm now joined by one of the Darlington nurses, Karen Danson. Karen, welcome to the show. So, Karen, when did you find out about this latest complaint then?
I'm not sure the exact date, to be honest. I just remember speaking to some of the girls and they'd got an email from the NMC threatening them for professional misconduct. And we were absolutely shocked by it, to be honest. We didn't expect that standing up for women's rights and just asking, all we're asking for was a safe space to get changed. Just for biological women. So we didn't actually expect that we'd be penalised for it and targeted for it, really.
So, I mean, people can make complaints to the official board, I guess, but they have the right to just kind of look at it and dismiss it outright. Surely the fact that they've actually taken this further, and my understanding is that these complaints can just go on for years as they're investigated.
They can, yes, and it's only been 4 complaints. And you look at like what the girls have done over the years. They've never they've got an untarnished record. They're absolutely fantastic ladies, and it's the unfounded claims that's clearly been put together just to penalise them and just to I think it's just done to spite them and to threaten them and to say, do you know what, this is what happens if you speak out and fight for the truth. And I think it's like a threat for the girls, but I think it's also a threat for anybody else who wants to come forward. We've got international nurses that are scared of losing their jobs and losing the visas. And I think now, because of these claims, there's more people going to be concerned and not wanting to come forward. So I think, like I say, it's just a way of saying, this is what's going to happen to you if you come forward.
Yeah, because it's got nothing to do with how good you are at your jobs, right? There's no complaints about how you've treated a patient in terms of any medical. So it's just the fact that you've spoken out on this issue. That's enough to allow this complaint to go forward.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly it. And like I said, they've been in full compliance with the NMC code. They've done nothing wrong at all. All they've done is step forward and be a voice for women like myself, because I was anonymous at the beginning, just to be a voice for the people who've had their voice took away, and to be penalised for it's unacceptable, really. So yes, they've done nothing wrong.
Does this suggest, it certainly suggests to me anyway, that the Nurses and Midwifery Council is a captured organisation then?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, there's too much of this trans ideology. It's too much now. I mean, yeah, sorry, I'm getting a bit muddled with my words, but yeah, it's too much.
That's the way it works. I mean, you had, obviously, in Scotland, you have Sandy Payne, you have her case that's been going on now as well. And we've seen a lot of that in the press. The group of you, I think, but it's 5 of you total, is that right?
And there was 8 claimants altogether.
It's 8, but yeah.
8 of us have taken it this far, yeah.
Okay, oh, sorry, so it's
the 4 girls that have been penalised is the 4 girls that weren't anonymous at the beginning.
I see, exactly. So as you say, this is a way of keeping people quiet and keeping them anonymous. But I believe your case is now about to go to court, is that right?
It is, yes. The 20th of October, 20th of this month, the lawyers and the team get together, and then evidence and things like that start on the 22nd.
Yeah, and I saw a thing a few weeks ago, Jennifer Melia, who we've had on the show, she is a nurse, and she's had a similar complaint made against her, right? And for the unbelievable crime of misgendering a prisoner and not using the right pronouns. So this is definitely indicative of something going on at the council. And when do you find? I know you have backing, but is this something that will potentially drag on for years then?
I think the NMC could drag on for a long time. There's no evidence behind it, so hopefully it shouldn't take too long. But I think the whole case, everything, because it's not just in our workplace, it's in other places, it's in changing rooms. The policies are, everything, like these issues are widespread. So even when we win our case, because I believe we will, even when that's over, it's not going to be over for us, because we're going to still be an advocate and a voice for other women.
Absolutely. Well, good luck with the case, and I'm sorry that the punishment continues for you. Thank you very, very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Please, Karen Danson.
Thank you.
Next on Free Speech Nation, drama erupted at a women's rights conference this week when trans activists smashed the venue's windows and sprayed paint. However, on the inside, another disturbing drama unfolded. Stay tuned. See you in 2 minutes.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth. Hello everyone, Patrick Christie's here. I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Dawdney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Bold. They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get this on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howie. Now, drama erupted at a women's rights conference this week when trans activists smashed the venue's windows and sprayed paint. However, on the inside, a different drama unfolded when some of the attendees said that the conference shouldn't ignore a genocide and refused to talk about the evils of Hamas because the Israeli government is far right. Chants of free Palestine followed. Joining me now is the author and women's rights advocate, Julia Long. Hello!
Hi, John.
I got tongue-tied. I'm so in awe of you, Julia, that I was like, it's Julia Long.
Absolutely. Everyone stammers in my presence.
There we are, exactly. So, Julia, first of all, for the people at home who might not have heard of this organisation, let's just quickly explain what FiLiA is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So FiLiA, it's a women's conference, a women's rights conference, women's liberation conference, I think they term themselves. It's been going a long time. They've just celebrated, I think, a 10-year anniversary, but I remember the very early days when it was an offshoot from another group. It was Feminism in London, so that was about 2008. So it's been going a long time, and it's kind of evolved in different ways.
And it's like Europe's biggest conference, I think.
Yeah, well, I can't imagine there's a bigger one. I think that's how they build themselves. And yes, I think there were around about 2,500 women there. So you know, big thing. I've literally just got off the train. I've still got my.
I've got all my Glastonbury
stuff. I've still got my wristbands on because I didn't have it. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm just literally off the train, so I haven't really had time to percolate.
Well, I've been following online. The first thing that I saw, and this did get into the national press, which is good, of course, were the attacks by trans activists on the night before. There were windows that were kicked in and graffiti, and they kind of revelled in it as well.
It's terrible. So I arrived...
Well, you can see, yeah.
So... Are you showing it? Yeah, I don't know how well that really I don't know how well that really conveys it.
Yeah.
I arrived on the morning, like, for the opening plenary, and it was, I have to say, it was absolutely shocking. They must have smashed about half a dozen, you know, the really, like these, the big windows, smashed. The next day, when they were boarded up, it was even more shocking because you could really see it all boarded up, and it was covered in, they just must have thrown pots of pink paint all over it. It was absolutely disgusting. It was so... it was just such an act of violence against a women's conference. It was... And there was a group of... I can't even call them trans activists because if you say trans rights, it suggests that there's some legitimate rights that they are campaigning for, but they're just hideous. I could hear these male voices chanting and shouting, and it was just the ultimate irony because you've got this women's conference where there was lots of discussion about all the horrors of prostitution, FGM, femicide, you know, all these terrible things. And then you've got these violent men who've literally vandalised the building and are shouting at us. Having said that, I think I heard the funniest chant that I've ever heard in my life. Would you like a quick
Yeah, sure, as long as there's no...
I just enjoy the specificity. HRT, HRT, over the counter and for free.
OK, yeah.
It's a very, as chants go, it's very specific, isn't it?
OK.
So I believe there's a sequel. What do we want? Hemorrhoid cream. When do we want it? Now. I believe that's the sequel because they're very specific about their pharmaceutical products and their ointments.
So HRT. I mean, look, you know what? It's interesting in this debate because when trans rights are human rights, then you say, well, OK, sure. What do you want? You know what? If there's HRT and you want free HRT. I mean, I'm just saying, like, OK, that's a right, and if you think if it's deserved on the NHS or whatever it is, at least that's something tangible.
I think the NHS has other much more pressing priorities. And also, the rights that they want is for men to pretend to be women and to come into
that's what I'm saying, is that's...
So that is their right that they're not entitled to.
Absolutely, but I'm just saying, if it's HRT, I'm like, yeah,
I don't agree.
You're not
I don't
happy?
agree. We'll
well, look, as long as my wife still gets her HRT, I'm totally fine.
I'm not a fan of HRT anyway, Josh. All right.
Okay, let's not argue. Let's not ruin our beautiful friendship on HRT.
Absolutely not.
All right. Well, look. Let's
chat after.
So that happened, and I remember seeing that and being horrified, and then I saw something that you posted about the actual when the event started, and the two are unrelated. So let's put that to the side. Let's talk about what happened inside there.
So that was the opening plenary session. I got there a little bit late. It was all kind of underway when I went in, and so one of the big plenary speakers. It was in the main auditorium. So you have best part. Probably 2,500, 2,000 women at least. And the thing with that, the opening plenary, is it sets the tone for the whole conference because everyone's there. So it's a really key position to have. And the speaker, who's author and activist campaigner, Rahila Gupta, she was promoting a book that she's written about FiLiA, or I think it's about British feminism, but kind of, she says, through a FiLiA lens. So she was talking a lot about this book. And I found it... Within, I don't know, maybe 15 seconds, she'd already mentioned the rise of the far right. There was, very, very soon in her talk. And I did think that was a bit of a strange thing to bring up so quickly, given that we'd all had to run the gauntlet of these so-called trans rights activists and so-called anti-fascists, all of this lot, and there was no mention of them. And I thought, right, we've just come through here and the windows have been smashed and they're shouting these horrible things. And yet you're... Well,
this is the real fascism that's going on here.
You're raising this kind of spectre of the far right, and I'm not going to, I won't get into all of that now, but I did think it was interesting. I thought, well, at least mention this as well, but no. But anyway, so then later on, as I recall, she was saying something about how important it is that, as women, feminists, we come together and we bring, we rise above our differences and, this kind of thing. And then it just started to really kind of jar, because then she said, and I'm not going to stand here and pretend a genocide isn't happening. So obviously she already framed... She's
talking about Gaza, which I would argue is a very contentious term, and I would also argue is an anti-Semitic framing of what's actually happened.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to use it, there's different points of view, which I'm aware of, but I'm inclined to agree with you, Josh, in terms of that, the use of that word... has got all kinds of... is a very, very serious and contentious sort of use of that word. And then she carried on. Let me try. I do want to try and get this right. To be honest, by the end of it, I was so angry. It's hard to recall it. I want to do justice and be as accurate as I can. But she started to say something about... She said something, I'm sure, about the suffering of women and children in Gaza, which I absolutely... Yeah, totally, of course. It was very striking to me. There was no mention of October the 7th, no mention of the hostages, no mention of the ceasefire, as it seemed to be emerging that was going to happen. And so she said... Sorry, I've gone a bit blank now.
No, well, it's just for me, when I read about it, was about the sexual violence that occurred on October 7th.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then she said, as someone who has always fought against religious fundamentalism, I will not be lectured on the evils of Hamas when the Israeli government is far right. It was something like that. And I thought, that's really shutting down any discussion or any mention even of the horrors of October the 7th. And to say I will not be lectured is such a put down to anyone who wants to raise it, because no one likes someone who's lecturing. It's a really deliberate choice of words, I think. So she said she will not be lectured on the evils of Hamas, which is basically shut up about that. And then she kind of segued from that into, I don't remember
you could be against the war in Gaza and you could still go, you could condemn rapists most terrorists.
Exactly. If she had included the horrors of the atrocities that Hamas committed on October the 7th and spoken about the hostages, and particularly given the context, particularly if she'd at least acknowledged the horrific sexual violence that was perpetrated then, I really would have, I can see the absolute horrors on both sides, but the fact that that was omitted, and from that she then went straight into chants of free Palestine.
And I believe Jewish women walked out or were very upset about this.
I could not believe it, because she obviously wanted to whip everyone up and I thought that was such an irresponsible thing to do at the beginning of this conference, to try to get the room doing that. And to be honest, I was incandescent. I was absolutely incandescent, and I'm sure other women walked out, but I was shouting. Well,
I saw you standing in front. There's a photo of you standing in front of the conference with holding a banner saying "Rape is not resistance," which is how it's presented. That's a photo of them, And unfortunately, that what you experienced and saw seemed to bleed into the rest of the weekend in terms of, I believe there's a pamphlet that was given out by one of the organisations which is just full of the most horrible anti-Semitism. There's also, I understand there was a bit of a scuffle at a disco last night. I know you weren't there, but I mean, the point is, this is the feminist conference, right?
Yeah.
Sexual violence happened on October 7th.
Horrific.
And to somehow admit it or lessen it or to deny it is, at a feminist conference of all places.
Really, really awful. And I don't, obviously I was talking about my reaction, but also it was so distressing. I know a lot of Jewish women left pretty much immediately, and it was really awful. I do want to say, if we've got time, there was a fringe. Oh no!
We genuinely don't. We don't. I'm so sorry, Julia. There was a fringe event. Yes,
really
absolutely.
Important.
Thank you so much, Julia Long, and amazing for you standing up this weekend. Thank you. That is the end of the first hour on Free Speech Nation. Don't go away. There's plenty more now to come between now and 9 o'clock, including the Big Brother TV show living up to its name. See you in 2 minutes. Thank you so much, Julia. I know, it went very quick. I mean, it did. It went very, very...
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again, and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Whilst high pressure will keep it generally dry for most of us through the coming week, there will be a lot of low cloud. That means it will be gloomy at times, with the best of any sunshine, generally speaking, across the north and the west of the UK. So high pressure dominates through the next few days. Very few ice bars on the chart, so not much in the way of breeze, and therefore things not really changing day to day. Through this evening, we will see generally cloudy skies developing across most of England and Wales, the best of any clear breaks in the west. And here we could see 1 or 2 fog patches, but these are most likely, I think, across parts of Scotland by the morning. With that cloud blanket coming in across England and Wales, it won't be as cool as it was last night. Temperatures generally holding up into the high single figures for most. But across parts of Scotland where the skies stay clear, we could see temperatures fall low enough to give a touch of frost in some rural areas first thing. Otherwise, some fairly dense patches of fog, particularly across the central belt first thing in the day. But that will slowly lift as we go through the morning. Quite cloudy skies for Northern Ireland and the vast majority of England and Wales too, with some drizzle or light showers here and there potentially too. But I'm hopeful that the cloud will break in a few spots as we go through the course of the day. Western parts of Wales, the far southwest of England perhaps most favoured, but I think the best of the sunshine on Monday will generally be across the far north of England and in particular across Scotland, where it should be a glorious afternoon for most of us. In the sunshine, the light winds will help it feel fairly pleasant for October, 15 or 16 degrees for some. In the south, though, under the cloudy skies, feeling relatively cool. Not much changes as we go into Tuesday either. Many parts of England and Wales still pretty gloomy and at times a little bit damp as well. The best of the sunshine for more northern parts of the UK, where Scotland and Northern England should see a reasonable amount. But overall, the cloudy theme will dominate through the rest of this week. Not much in the way of sunshine. Temperatures fairly close to average as well for the time of year.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's There's just 3 weeks left to see how you could be our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
Oh no, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised. I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Plenty more still to come on Free Speech Nation this week, including...
You said, but you haven't got a willy.
Wrong think inside the Big Brother house and...
British people standing with Jews, and look how we're treated.
There is a place
look how we're treated. Get off me.
Come stand here,
Get
please.
your hands off me.
That protester at yesterday's ceasefire march is going to join us along with another one fresh from a cell. Plus...
True unrest, and it's scary. It's scary as a local resident, somebody who's born and bred here.
Can you be born a bigot? The Reform counsellor in that video there has been reported now to the police. Comedians and myself are going to be answering some crazy culture developments from our live studio audience. The first, we have the news with Aaron Armstrong.
Thank you very much indeed. Good evening to you. It's 8 o'clock. Our headlines. The Israeli Prime Minister says the imminent release of all hostage held by Hamas is an historic event that some people didn't believe would happen. During a statement delivered in Hebrew, Benjamin Netanyahu promised families their loved ones would be returned, saying tomorrow is the beginning of a new path. He made no mention of Donald Trump. Live pictures. We Hope to bring you live pictures from Tel Aviv a little later. The families have been gathering in Hostages Square to celebrate their loved one's imminent return. However, Hamas may have put a spanner in the works. They're insisting 7 Palestinian leaders must be freed as part of the hostage prisoner swap. They are prominent Palestinian prisoners. Mr Netanyahu says the campaign against Israel's enemies has not ended, although the country's President Isaac Herzog appeared to contradict that statement earlier.
We've always said, bring back the hostages, it will change the Middle East. As soon as the hostages are back, Israel is not going to war. Israel is committed to fulfilling this agreement, and Israel wants to seek peace with its neighbors and bring a change to the future of the region at last.
Meanwhile, the security situation in Gaza remains perilous amid reports of violent clashes between Hamas and armed gangs in Gaza City. It's understood more than 24 people have been killed during heavy gunfire. The Israeli army withdrew from parts of the territory on Friday. Dozens of aid trucks have now begun to enter Gaza. The United Nations says at least 600 are needed every day to address what it's described as a man-made famine as a result of Israel's blockade. A cabinet minister says Sir Keir Starmer's national security advisor played no role in the collapse of a prosecution against 2 alleged Chinese spies. The case against former parliamentary researcher Chris Cash and academic Christopher Berry collapsed last month, prompting suggestions that Jonathan Powell had a role in withholding key evidence from the prosecution. So they could not confirm that China was a threat. But Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson says Mr Powell was not involved in those discussions and retains the full confidence of the Prime Minister. Meanwhile, Bridget Phillipson has written to university vice-chancellors urging them to protect students from what she's described as the poison of anti-Semitism. Some 600 training sessions will be offered to staff on campuses over the coming weeks to help them identify harassment and hate and to facilitate open and respectful debate. Bridget Phillipson has described the problem as shocking. And changes to European border security controls have been introduced today. So you may have been dealing with delays if you've been travelling. Non-EU visitors, including people from the UK, will now be asked to have their faces and fingerprints scanned on first entry under the new entry-exit system. The EU is dispensing with passport stamps in favour of the new digital system. That's all from me. The latest headlines for now, but I'll have more in about an hour's time.
For all the latest from GB News whilst you're on the go, get the GB News app. Scan the QR code now to download or visit gbnews.com/app.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howie. I'm still joined by my comedian guests, Steve and Alan and Cressida Wetton, and we are going to go to some questions from our audience. Our first one is from Solomon.
Hello there. Good evening, Josh. My question on tonight's show is, should our country rejoin the European Union to allow British children of any age demographic as such to have their own gender or sex as such for their own preference?
Yeah, absolutely. Should we rejoin the EU to allow the British children of any age to choose their sex? Children will be able to choose their own gender at any age under controversial new EU proposals. Therapy to check whether children are certain they want to change their gender, and age limits on gender recognition could be discarded in the new plan. So, Solomon, what do you think about this? If you were 3 years old and you were like, I'm now a girl, there you go. If you're in Europe, it is so.
I would agree so, yeah. It just depends on your matter of preference as to what your gender would be based on, you know, whether you want to be a female or a male as such, or transgender as such, you know. But myself, I prefer heterosexual, if I'm being honest, yeah.
You prefer being a male?
Yeah, most certainly.
Okay, me too.
That's the better
We have that in
yeah. Out of the rest of it, I would say.
That's why we like hanging out together. Cressida, this is pretty insane. 2-year-old, any age. Really, your first words, I am my boy.
Well, when we used to go on holiday, me and my brother were allowed to choose our own meals in the Little Chef most of the time, unless we picked ice cream. You know, it wasn't like...
You were so posh.
It's a bit silly. It does make you think, like, if Sharia law does come to Europe, you know, they're not going to... I think there might be a tension there. I don't know. I mean, we're the cool kids.
What you're saying is rejoin the EU to save the UK.
If you like. No, the UK, we're leading the way on this now, aren't we?
What, self-IDing?
on fighting it. We're doing better, I think, than Europe. Remember, we had a French guest on, and she said it's terrible in France. We're much further behind. They haven't got to the turf.
You can stop there. You don't need all the other stuff afterwards. Just playing to the audience.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. It was a joke about France. We're allowed to do those now, aren't we?
Yeah, I can do one of those.
Yeah.
So this issue about people in the EU, children being able to pick their own gender, they're already European, which I think is like half there to being a woman. So that's my attempt to also besmirch the Europeans. No, I can't see a downside to this. I got a 3-year-old, and he spends most of his time thinking he's a dog from Paw Patrol. So yeah, just let him...
Say we don't know.
Well, if he's picking Sky, Liberty or Everest, then they're the girl dogs. Other than that, at least he's staying a boy. So be a dog if you're... He'd be a good boy, I suppose, by the end of it. No, this is... How did you not like the European joke? You get that one for some reason you like.
They're a fickle crowd.
Yeah, tough crowd. I think what we were saying earlier about the idea that now we're getting this sense of gender and sex definitely being split. Eventually it will be, pick whatever you want for a gender, it means nothing. It's like changing your metadata on an MP3. You can do it if you want, but the main content stays the same. So it's moving towards that. It makes less difference.
Yeah, but it will make a lot of difference in Europe, where if you have the children. I mean, the fact that they're to remove any age restrictions, they haven't said anything about what that means in terms of the medicalisation of children. I mean, this ideology seems to be going full steam ahead.
Well, that's the serious point, isn't it? How many children will slip through the net, get treated, and then regret it later? It's tragic.
All of them. Our next question is from Tony.
Evening, Josh. There's somewhere...
Tony, I'd like to give you my wallet.
Does somewhere being born make you a bigot?
Yes, does being born somewhere make you a bigot? This is Falkirk councillor Claire Mackey-Brown has been reported to Police Scotland, and the council stand as watchdog after her remarks to STV News, and her appearances at anti-migrant protests sparked outrage. We're going to show the video now.
Is a true unrest, and it's scary. It's scary as a local resident, somebody who was born and bred here. I shouldn't have said that.
Well, do you see why this is? People sometimes think that reform are very much against having people here.
It just came out.
That's unfortunate for you, I guess. But ultimately, do you see why people?
So, Tony, where were you born and bred?
I was born in...
Racists!
I was born in the Angel Islington.
In the Angel, yeah, very nice, very nice. So when I speak to a real man, it makes me sort of, yeah, I know what you mean, yeah, Angel, yeah, lovely stuff.
That's fancy Islington, though. That's Keir Starmer neck of the woods, isn't it?
Yeah, back in the olden days.
You champagne socialists.
Well, look, I mean, Steve, for me, we'll get into the fact that this complaint process has gone through, but she wasn't helping herself with this reaction that she had when she was like, oh no, I've said born and bred, it's the worst thing that anybody could say. I've never heard anybody claim that to be in any way connected to racism.
No, style it out. Even if you accidentally say something that's very wrong, style it out.
I do that all the time.
Oh, I've noticed. I think you're excellent at it. It's brilliant. The complaint has been about it not being inclusive language, but she starts the sentence with the I. The subject of the sentence is her, because she says I, and I presume it's true that she was born and bred there. I've not checked, but you can't ban things that are true from being said. If she'd have said, you're not a local resident if you were not born and bred around here, not inclusive. But I was born and bred around here, it's just a fact, isn't it? Could we just calm down? I was born and bred somewhere. Does that mean I'm a problem?
Absolutely, Cressida. I mean, in terms of styling it out, maybe she could have changed, like, I'm born and bred, and then she was like, I'm born and I eat bread.
No, nobody likes bread. Bread's right out of fashion.
Yeah,
no, you can't say that.
That would sort of be, like, offensive to all of the sort of intolerant...
No, this is so silly, isn't it? It's so silly. And, of course, it's doing reform a favour, I'm sure. And the person that really comes off badly in this is the reporter, surely. She just looks...
I know,
mad.
The reporter was like, I can't believe you said that.
Yeah, it's like you've hung yourself. What are you going to do about it? Terrible, terrible.
Well,
you'll never host MasterChef now.
Yeah, go back to your point, Steve. If someone was in Cornwall and complaining about people having second homes or buying second homes, now they were like, look, I was born and bred around here and I can't get a property myself because people are coming from London, that would in no way be bigoted?
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, I wasn't born and bred in Scotland, and yet I heard that and didn't become offended. How dare she not include me in the sentence she's saying about herself?
Well, we never got to the end of the sentence. She might have said, as someone born and bred here, I think people born and bred here are terrible. We don't know what she was going to say. We never got to the end of it.
Yeah, and then, of course, that is self-contained in itself. The fact that there's been, I believe, a 22-page complaint made about her,
it's got to be double-lined, doesn't it? There's no way they can fill 22 pages.
Well, as someone born and bred in the UK, I don't want my tax money paying for that.
As someone born and bred in the UK, we love reports. There's nothing more patriotic than a 22-page report. Isn't that right, Tony? So our next question is from John.
Good evening. This is the most important question of the evening. Where in London can you get a decent martini now?
Yeah, absolutely. Where can you get a good martini in London? So one of Central London's main LGBTQ+ bars will close down, with its owner saying that Soho's Old Compton Street has lost its LGBT identity. Now, we've used a lot of LGBTQ+, we've said this a few times. The bar itself is called Gay, or G-A-Y. It's a stalwart on the gay scene in Old Compton Street. John, I remember when we first met there, and...
Fond memories, yes.
Yeah, good times, great martinis, tight bum, and...
Thanks, Josh.
I hope that's the name of a cocktail.
But, I mean, I read an article this week, Gareth Roberts, great writer, who talks about how this inclusiveness of the TQIA+ into that, he was saying that gay bars are where gay men traditionally would go and meet other gay men to have some fun times. And now kind of opening it up where it's people in drag or people who are biological females who identify as males. I wonder how much that... I don't know why I'm asking you this question.
I don't know why either, Josh.
But you sounded good.
Are you saying that the trans movement has flooded the gay bars? Is that where you're going?
That was this argument in this article, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe that was part of it, but isn't it also partly a good news story? Not for the business, terrible if your business isn't working, but I remember James Dreyfus, the actor, saying that he remembers when the flag meant, oh, you'll be safe in here, there won't be any violence against or prejudice against gay people. And isn't it the case now that if you see gay couples in pubs, that's not outrageous, is it?
No, I think that's actually a fantastic... thought process. I hadn't really thought about it, but yes, of course, that in a way, I guess that was those were kind of in the 80s or earlier. They were kind of havens where people could feel, like you say, feel safe. Now people don't bat an eyelid. Yeah, hopefully they don't.
Also, to slightly shoot the second half of that story as well, there's something like 14 pubs a day or every week closed in the UK. When those stories happen, it's just market forces. When this one happens, we're trying to write it as if it's not market forces. It's also market forces. Pubs, the hospitality industry in general is suffering. So what you've got is a specific venue that doesn't have that specificity required anymore, and pubs are closing, or venues are closing. I think it's a lot of that and less to do with watering down the brand.
Well, I mean, the other part of this article, which was really interesting, was also talking about sort of how areas are losing their specificity. Yes,
everything is now pret-a-manger, everything.
Homogenised, and this was this is one of the, probably arguably one of the, apart from Brighton or whatever, you know, one of the sort of central areas of gay life within the UK is Soho, that part of Soho. And it's a bit sad, really, when areas lose the things that make them original, make them safe.
You want it all segregated like it used to be?
No, I don't know, I love a martini. Anyway, our final question is from Eleanor.
Hi, is God OK with graffiti?
Is God OK with graffiti? Yeah, J.D. Vance and Elon Musk have led criticism of shameful graffiti art at Canterbury Cathedral. The US Vice President said the art installation in the building made a beautiful historical building really ugly. Have you seen yourself the graffiti here?
I've seen pictures in the newspaper, yes.
What do you think of it?
Well, I think it's horrible, but, I mean, if God is all-seeing, who knows what God thinks?
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest, the question, when I wrote that question, I wasn't that bothered. I wasn't literally thinking what's going on with God, because
that's a different
God is
show.
everywhere, and if he wants or she wants a bit of graffiti, welcome to come round the back of GAY Club where I've been a few times. Anyway, no.
Cool. Improv can be tricky, can't it?
Well, look, we've got some of the images here. This story has taken off really around the world to see one of, I think it's the oldest cathedral within the UK, and to see those images. Now, first of all, it should be said, I believe that they're stickers.
Well, look, I'm from Bristol, OK? I know about graffiti.
Stop humble bragging all the time.
And that's not graffiti. Those are transfers that will be removed soon when the art exhibition is over. Calm down.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a bit of this kind of wishy-washy, oh, everything goes in the church, which I don't think God would be thrilled about that. Do we need to have this art exhibition in the church?
I don't understand why it says it's about sort of an outreach and it's building bridges. Who are they building bridges to?
Oh, it's every big organisation does this, right? They think, how are we going to attract younger people? Which, if you're the church, don't, right? Maybe take a little moratorium on letting priests anywhere near kids would be the way to spin this. But the idea of, how can we attract young people to the church? Fake graffiti. Yeah. No, you are not cool. Stop doing it. But as someone who's not religious, I can view this in a way where I just find it funny, right?
This was like 1980s graffiti.
Exactly, it's so uncool.
Big thing. It's not the real hardcore graffiti.
And there are questions where it says, like, God, do you regret your creations, and is God there? And I love the idea that someone will be turning up to a place of worship, having that moment of crisis, that doubt in their own faith, and they just need a sign, and the sign is there really a God, though? It's sprayed on a wall on your way into a cathedral. It's ridiculous.
I mean, they should make it more authentic, like, for a good time, cool. I think that's the graffiti that I do in toilets. Anyway, look, I don't know why you're making these jokes. Stop it, Josh. Next on Free Speech Nation, we'll speak to one of the protesters at yesterday's, actually two of the protesters at yesterday's pro-Palestinian protest, who stood up for Jewish voices, but was moved on by the police. One of them was also arrested and then de-arrested. See you in 2 minutes.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, DC.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation. Now, yesterday, tens of thousands, actually some people say hundreds of thousands of pro-Palestinian protesters marched through London. It comes the week after a terror attack in the Manchester synagogue and a weekend of the ceasefire reached in the Middle East. However, questions over two-tier policing have again been raised, as this one protester found out yesterday.
British people standing with Jews, and look how we're treated.
There is a space for
look
you
how
to
we're
stand.
treated. Get off me.
Come stand here,
Get
please.
your hands off me.
I was also at the protest, and I saw it with my own eyes, witnessing the police actions and what they should have really been doing.
What they need to do, and what they should have been doing from the very beginning, is policing what they've seen. They've seen placards with swastikas, they've seen people zikhailing, they've seen people calling for jihad, yet they did nothing.
That's what I look like in real life. Anyway, joining me now are two of the protesters who attended yesterday's protest, Niak Gobani and Kirpak Patel. Welcome. Hello. It's so nice to see you both, because you're also dressed up super smart and stuff, and it feels like here we are. Yesterday, for me, frankly, was just horrible. We've been standing on the same kind of front lines of this for the last 2 years, both of you being compelled to be out there to support British Jews, to support Israel, about what many would argue, including myself, are frankly hate marches. Now, we saw some footage of you, Copper. Can you explain what happened?
So we at our fight, we stand for Israel, and we stand against anti-Semitism. So given what had happened in...
And you're not Jewish, by the way.
I'm not Jewish. Yeah. Given what had happened in Manchester at the synagogue, we decided that we wanted to stand for British Jews. So we weren't technically protesting, and we weren't counter-protesting. We were making a statement that we stand for British Jews.
But you're doing that around the peace marches?
Yeah. Well, they've claimed for the last 2 years that they're against Zionism, not Jews. So, you know, if they are only against Zionism, they shouldn't have had an issue with our signs. They should be standing with us. You know, if you say that you're not against Jews, then why was our sign provocative?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is exactly the hypocrisy that we've seen it over the last 2 years, where, you know, they say they're for peace, yet I don't see any of those placards or chants. They're none of them being for peace at all. All I see is hate. They're calling for the destruction of the world's only Jewish state. They're talking for globalising the jihad, globalising the intifada, for intifada itself, and which we saw the results of that in Manchester. So you yourself, though, I believe, were actually arrested, right?
Yeah, yesterday, again, for 12 times.
Well, I should explain, because the first time was, and I remember seeing the footage, it blew my mind, was you just had a poster, a very simple poster, said, Hamas are terrorists. Now, that is fact.
Yes.
In this country, they are a prescribed organisation. Hamas are terrorists.
Yeah.
And yet, in that original footage, I saw you being chased around. It looked like people were literally trying to kill you.
Actually, this time didn't actually even the people catching me. The police did start, you know, dragging me out from the front of protest. Actually, the first police officer who dragging me out aggressively, I said, "What are you doing? This is a UK law. Just, you know, I'm saying Hamas is a terrorist organization." And he didn't listening to me. And I just, you know, find myself on handcuff again. You know, I'm just say, why? Why again? You know, I just put something on across of my mouth and say, save our kids. And the British actually message, the British people message I put on my mouth. And, you know, this my sign, Hamas is a terrorist organization. And they just, you know, harassed me. And when we went to the van, police van, the officer who handcuffed me, he said, he just looking at the sign. He didn't even see my sign. He just, you know, they are really obsessed with harassing me. I don't understand why. But yeah, they just, you know...
and someone said, there's nothing wrong with this sign, right?
Yeah, exactly. The officer who handcuffed me said to the other officer who dragging me out, the officer said, this is a sign which is UK law and nothing wrong with the sign. And the other officer said, not front of this mob. I said, what? What did he say? Did you
say not in front of this mob?
Yes.
Well, there we go.
Not here, not now.
Yeah.
I said, what? Did you record? Are you recording your conversation? You have to record. I have actually a lot of experience about the police, how they have to actually doing their job. That's why I'm asking, did you record? What did you say? He said, he showed me his body camera. He was on record.
So I just want to be very clear here. You're being arrested. You're being dragged off the street forcibly. I've seen the footage of you surrounded by 10 police and you're dragged into the van, and they did it knowingly that you hadn't actually committed a crime at all.
Exactly.
So this is...
They talking to each other about, you know, they actually are asking me for Section 5, but in the van, they start talking to each other about the section, you know, they will made to, you know,
because you've been arrested 12 times and this has gone to court 12 every single time.
Yes.
They just go, no, this is absolutely ridiculous. But this is the first time that there's sort of evidence here of it being a deliberate thing. Now, you mentioned mobs, and I'm going to go back because even with what we saw with you kind of being dragged off, it seems like it's all about appeasing the mob. Now, that isn't how policing should occur in this country. Policing in this country should be about, have you committed a crime or not? Not dragging people off the street because they might upset somebody else.
I think the two things that were really alarming for me yesterday is the fact that the pro-Palestinian march, they should be alarmed. There's a Jewish bloc amongst them. The fact that I was pushed to the ground holding a sign that says, we stand with British Jews. You know, they should be scared that somebody that stands with British Jews was pushed to the ground, pulled out of there with the police. It was disappointing that the police didn't support us because they should be standing for the Jews. The government has claimed that they're going to do more.
Well, I would say there's a sort of, I understand it as a tacit understanding within that bloc that actually a lot of them aren't actually Jewish or faking it.
But if they are Jewish, anyone, not just
well, this is the poster that you had, right? And you have the Manchester Be There, I am assuming, as a tribute to the two dead Jews.
Not just Jews, but British people should be really alarmed by the fact that we were holding this sign and the way that we were treated by the protesters and also by the police, especially given of what's happened in Manchester, especially the claims of the government saying that they're going to do more to protect the Jewish communities because of the rise of anti-Semitism, and they should be supporting us. That's what was really disappointing about yesterday for me.
Well, I think there's also something larger going on here where we've seen now, I mean, these couple of 100,000 people coming out, there's a ceasefire has been declared. All these things that they were saying that they're there for, they're already being resolved. This idea there's a famine, and then you can just see all these thousands of clips of overweight Palestinians, and it's obvious there was never a famine all along. Yet these people come out to march. The question now is, the hostages hopefully will be released tomorrow, which is what we're waiting for. It's what's next? Because are these people going to be continuing to come out?
And we will continue.
Well, this is it. So because I think this goes way beyond the British Jewish community, it's got way beyond Israel. We have a galvanised part of the population here who are coming out, and I would argue being anti-Western liberal democracy. And people like yourself, I assume, will be coming out still to fight for that because you're Iranian and you've seen where that path leads, right?
Exactly. You know, that's happening to us in 1979. The Islamists and actually leftists, they came together, united. We actually call them unholy allies, you know. We are, you know, the Israel and Hamas war going to be soon finished. But we have to fight for our, actually, country, for the UK, for the British people. You know, when they want to continue, we will continue. We will stand in front of them, and we don't scare.
Well, I'm going to be standing with both of you,
yeah.
But I'll be back in my civilian clothing. A Met spokesperson told GB News in relation to our footage that Nia Ghorban being led away from the protest. Officers made an arrest and she subsequently de-arrested. We are currently reviewing the case. They added over the course of the day, officers made 14 arrests. 7 of these were for breaching conditions under the Police Public Order Act, while arrests were also made for other offences, including supporting a prescribed group and a fray. Next on Free Speech Nation, Big Brother TV show is living up to its name as contestants get kicked out for wrongthink. Find out what they were scolded for after the break. Thank you.
Dinner under the stars tonight?
That reminds me of our travel insurance.
You mean all clear skies?
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello there. If you're heading off to southern Europe in the next few days, there's plenty of dry weather on the way for most of us. Further west, though, there will be some heavy showers, particularly across Iberia, and that's just due to the remnants of Storm Alice that's been affecting parts of eastern Spain over the weekend. So parts of eastern Spain, the Balearics, seeing some heavy showers and thunderstorms on Monday. There'll also be some showers across parts of Sardinia, Sicily, and also parts of Greece as well. But many places will have a fine and dry few days of weather to come with plenty of sunshine.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Whilst high pressure will keep it generally dry for most of us through the coming week, there will be a lot of low cloud. That means it will be gloomy at times, with the best of any sunshine, generally speaking, across the north and the west of the UK. So high pressure dominates through the next few days. Very few ice bars on the chart, so not much in the way of breeze, and therefore things not really changing day to day. Through this evening, we will see generally cloudy skies developing across most of England and Wales, the best of any clear breaks in the west. And here we could see 1 or 2 fog patches, but these are most likely, I think, across parts of Scotland by the morning. With that cloud blanket coming in across England and Wales, it won't be as cool as it was last night. Temperatures generally holding up into the high single figures for most. But across parts of Scotland where the skies stay clear, we could see temperatures fall low enough to give a touch of frost in some rural areas first thing. Otherwise, some fairly dense patches of fog, particularly across the central belt first thing in the day. But that will slowly lift as we go through the morning. Quite cloudy skies for Northern Ireland and the vast majority of England and Wales too, with some drizzle or light showers here and there potentially too. But I'm hopeful that the cloud will break in a few spots as we go through the course of the day. Western parts of Wales, the far southwest of England perhaps most favoured, but I think the best of the sunshine on Monday will generally be across the far north of England and in particular across Scotland, where it should be a glorious afternoon for most of us. In the sunshine, the light winds will help it feel fairly pleasant for October, 15 or 16 degrees for some. In the south, though, under the cloudy skies, feeling relatively cool. Not much changes as we go into Tuesday either. Many parts of England and Wales still pretty gloomy and at times a little bit damp as well. The best of the sunshine for more northern parts of the UK, where Scotland and Northern England should see a reasonable amount. But overall, the cloudy theme will dominate through the rest of this week. Not much in the way of sunshine. Temperatures fairly close to average as well for the time of year.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody, to Free Speech Nation. It's perhaps the greatest irony, George Orwell's most iconic creation, Big Brother, where life is now imitating art. A contestant on ITV's TV show has been humiliated on air for the thought crime of believing in biological sex. 56-year-old contestant Caroline Monk was told off for her unacceptable and offensive language. So what was the supposed transgression? Caroline pointed out that a female contestant who identifies as male doesn't have a willy. Take a look.
It's a girl! No, you're not.
Caroline!
But you haven't got a willy, have you?
Oh, no, let's stop this game.
Oh, is that really bad?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Caroline, Big Brother does find your behaviour and language to be offensive and unacceptable. Do you understand?
I agree. I absolutely agree, yeah.
Joining me now is the psychotherapist, campaigner and founder of Just Therapy, James Esses. James, welcome. Now, James, I had an ex-girlfriend who said to me, "You don't have a willy," and I found it greatly offensive. I was like, "No!" But to see the reaction there, that is so incredibly telling that this person had said the greatest of thought crimes aloud. You could see the reaction. All those people around the room like, "No, don't say what everybody knows."
I hope you reported your ex-girlfriend for a hate crime, by the way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. She's still in jail.
Look, this is... I don't know whether it's life imitating art or art imitating life. Either way, it demonstrates the issue we've got with free speech in this country, and particularly speech that is factual and reality-based. I mean, that woman there in the show who thinks that she's a man is a woman and doesn't have a willy or a penis. And it should not be offensive to say such a thing and to be kind of jumped on and castigated in the way that that contestant was. And you see this time and time again, the second she said it, the rest of the group rallied around this trans woman, and the tears started flowing and the hugs and the kisses started pouring out, and shame on you to the other person. And in the end, that Caroline contestant said that she's never felt so guilty in all her life.
For stating a biological fact. And you see her when she's sort of taken off for her penance in front of in the cubicle where they confront her with her crimes, her great crimes. Also, when you put it, it's not that it makes any difference when you're just stating fact here, but if you also just put it in a larger context, they're talking specifically about if you went to an island and you had to take somebody to procreate with, who would you take? And it wasn't just sort of coming out of nowhere. She's talking about biological reality here. For you to procreate with somebody, you need to have two people of the opposite sex to be able to have a baby. And that's all she's commenting on the moment, is she's just going, well, that person is unable to do that. They don't have the necessary parts.
Quite right. And this woman, when she was being interviewed later on, the victim said, you know, what really made me upset is it made me realise that not everyone sees me as I see myself. Sees me as a man. And this is, unfortunately, a mental health condition. And this show is encouraging us to go along and affirm delusional thinking. It's not in anyone's interest, actually. It's not kind. It's not caring. I mean, that wasn't Caroline Gaff in that segment. One of the women there supposedly identifies as pansexual, and Caroline said, does that mean you find pans attractive? Again, whatever, OK, a silly joke, whatever. Either way, again, affirming this nonsense, this kind of narcissism and navel-gazing.
Yeah, I mean, but my understanding, pansexual is sort of attracted to everybody, is that right?
My view is that it's
essentially bisexual.
It's a delusional bisexual, yes, essentially. Because
bisexual, but you're more interesting.
Quite right. Well, it's because it's this notion that we've all got a unique gender identity. You see, Josh, you're such a bigot there, because there's more than just man and woman. Up, by the way. It's no, look, it's this notion that you're attracted to anyone regardless of the gender identity, male, female, non-binary, gender fluid. All of this nonsense has been kind of created and pulled out of nowhere. Yeah. So it's but I remember Big Brother back in the day when it was raw, it was real. You know, a bunch of people thrown in a house together, different backgrounds, different political persuasions. OK, it got a bit messy at times, but life is messy. Now it's curated. There's certain things you can and cannot say. I mean, the fact that the contestants had to go through specific DEI training to even partake this year says it all, really.
Well, and of course they're going to try and book people who have these supposedly different ideas because that's what they want. They want to see conflict. I guess it's controlled conflict. But when you actually are going to put real people on screen, they're going to maybe say real things. To try and curate that no one should say anything that would go against what they see as wider society. Of course, the irony is that anybody in wider society, and as they proved it by everybody there covering themselves in embarrassment, was this person just said the truth. What they said was the emperor has no clothes on. That's what they did.
Yeah, but this is the irony, because reality TV no longer reflects what reality should be, and people are looking for reasons to be offended. I mean, there was another contestant, black woman. There was an argument over cleaning up dishes. I make it sound like I spend all my life watching Big Brother, but nonetheless, anyway, there was an argument about cleaning up dishes, and another contestant said to her, "Don't bark at me like that." And she immediately said, "That's a microaggression against me because I'm black. You're saying that black women are like dogs."
Wow.
Now, look...
It's a good thing she also didn't identify as a dog.
Well, indeed. Indeed.
Although the pansexual would have still found her attractive.
No comment on that. But, look, I mean, racial slurs, of course, are a thing, but that isn't one. It very clearly wasn't meant as one. But, again, she was looking for a reason to be a victim, and, again, the crowd came around for support, and he was castigated and shunned for it. People are looking for a reason to be a victim. I mean, from a psychological perspective, I'm really concerned what's going on in society, because we're not encouraging resilience. We're instead encouraging delusion, victimhood, narcissism.
Absolutely. I mean, although I think that maybe Big Brother, it would be great for a series, is to get, like, the wokest people in there and then see them all sort of attacking each other and going down that route. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us, James Esses. There he is. Founder of Just Therapy. Next on Free Speech Nation, a group of artists are fighting back against an art scene ruled by ideology. Find out how after the break, and how this group is bringing back beauty and meaning over politics and posturing. See you in 2 minutes.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
Park Estate and the anti-litter champion. Great to see you. What made you think of this, Duncan?
I think just the huge amount of litter. I said to the children, when I was their age, we would be able to go from this beautiful estate, which I'm so lucky to live in, to Wetton or Chelmsford or Braintree, and you'll never see any litter. And today it's so different. And you know, we're thinking we've got to affect some kind of behavioural change, and the best place to start with that is with young minds. It's so baffling to me that people don't prioritise litter, because if you think about it, all the ills of society that our civic leaders are trying to sort out are characterized by, you know, antisocial behavior, lack of personal responsibility, selfishness, lack of community spirit. And if you toss a plastic bottle or a disused coffee cup or a wrapper out of your window, one is displaying exactly the same characteristics as, you know, we need to resolve all the other bigger antisocial problems.
What reaction are you getting from today's children? Are they a bit astonished about the fact that they shouldn't throw litter around?
Yeah, no, every time you ask the question, has anybody seen anyone littering? Up went 500 hands. Have you ever littered? And up went to sort of 10 very brave little hands.
GB News, the People's Channel.
The GB News
newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back to Free Speech Nation. Now, Britain's art world is losing touch with the public. Galleries like the Tate Modern are half empty, and most people couldn't name a single contemporary artist. Many say that's because our art institutions have been captured by ideology, funding activism instead of talent. Now, a new wave of dissident artists is fighting back. Their mission to create art that actually moves people, not lectures them. Their latest exhibition, Power and Intimacy, has been running this week in London, promising beauty, craft and meaning over politics and posturing. One of those artists, Alexander Adams, joins us now. Welcome to the show. We've talked before on the show about the funding from our government and how that has impacted art. And you've come out and you've said, look, we're just going to make the art that we respond to, that we want human beings to feel about, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we're not going to get support from the state. So I say to artists who are dissidents, who don't believe in the status quo, have got their own ideas, who want to be reaching back into history, which is considered too dangerous by the art establishment, I say to you, act as though the Arts Council does not exist, because for you, they do not exist. They act as though you do not exist. You are outside the confines. They will never give you the money. So you have to make the opportunities yourself. You have to step over them, go straight to the public, sell work, make exhibitions, find the people who you really care about, make work for them, find friends that you trust, and commit yourself to having passion and don't ask for permission.
And that example really lends itself across other artistic forms. I mean, even into my own world of comedy, where it's like, you know, there's Comedy Unleashed. They started their own comedy clubs because they felt there wasn't an audience being addressed with comedy, regime comedy, what they would call it. So what's been the response then from people?
Well, it's been electric. We've had a huge response to the exhibition. We had a packed out opening night. We had philosophers, writers, poets, we had academics, we had people with lots of money, people with no money at all, people who knew us, people who had just heard about us and had never seen our work in person because they'd just seen images digitally, and it makes so much more difference when you can have something in a physical space and get people in to introduce them to it in person. It's a fantastic response, lots of work sold, lots of people really engaged and asking us, when's the next one?
Do you think that the Arts Council might learn from their mistakes, that they might actually, because it's about £500 million.
You are a comedian, right?
Well, I mean, there's £500 million here to allocate it according to ideology, which is what they seem to have been doing, and we've seen the impact of that because people aren't responding to it. People don't respond to ideology, they respond to emotion.
Exactly. So what we did is we put on a show that really touched on core themes like heroism and chivalry and the differences between men and women and being strong, and also intimacy as well, power and intimacy. So we had some intimate self-portraits, and yeah, we just did stuff that really excited us. That's what the themes were chosen because they really excited us. We'd already had another exhibition. Next one we said, okay, well, let's do power and intimacy. These are two themes that really excite us and excite our audience, and we don't care about the Arts Council. The Arts Council is never going to fund this.
So, I mean, you've written a book as well as your art, How to Start a Dissident Art Movement. So is this exactly what you're preaching in this book, just getting out there and doing it? And that's really what people have to, that's the only way that arts are going to survive, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. So I give some simple rules that apply to artists about sort of being true to yourself, being strong, being independent, but also finding friends, collaborating, sharing stuff. So I give some instructions that
can be a kind of applied to, you know, comedians, to writers, to poets, to people who are in the theatre, all sorts of things, and this applies to them as well. Because, of course, this is what art was back in the day. Obviously, going back into medieval times, I guess it was sort of there were patrons, but certainly we didn't have this £500 million given 100 years ago to artists. Artists had to go out and create their own spaces, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But that's why we're talking to people who are not in the Arts Council, people who are privately wealthy, talking to people who are willing to put forward money to have a great exhibition, and they don't even want their names attached to it. And we're talking to them, and they're interested in us because we're doing something exciting, and we're really committed, and we're passionate about it, and we don't care what the status quo thinks. We don't care about the establishment. We have to step over them. They don't want anything to do with us, so why should we care what they think?
Well, I mean, look, we could even see the argument being made to the starting of this channel as well. I mean, people have to just step outside of those previous institutions if they actually want to make a difference. So this exhibit, it's going on, how long is it going for?
Closed today, I'm afraid.
OK, well, that was a really bad booking.
But I can tell you it was such a success because we had an incredible response. The atmosphere was really electric. So the next exhibition is going to be great. Don't know when it is yet. We're holding back and seeing what comes next. At the moment, we're all working independently, everyone in our group. But there will be further exhibitions, both individually and as a group.
And will it have, like, different themes? What can you talk about it at all?
No, I pitched an idea to some of the artists and they were like, yeah, that's it, but I'm not going to tell you.
OK, keeping us all in suspense there. Anyway, well, thank you. And you can buy this book, How to Start a Dissident Art Movement. Oh, yeah, go on Free Speech Nation. Yeah, that's a very good advice there. Well, look, thank you so much for joining us. That is artist and author Alexander Adams. And you can catch that exhibit. No, you can't. OK, so thank you very much, all of you at home, for joining us for Free Speech Nation. I want to thank all of my brilliant guests this evening. And if you want to join us live in the studio, be part of our wonderful audience, you can. Please go to gbnews.com/tickets. It's a lot of fun. Have you guys had fun? Yeah! There you go. You hear yourself and you get free alcohol. So stay tuned for the brilliant Alex Armstrong tonight. That is next. And thank you very much for joining us and watching Free Speech Nation. See you next week. Take care.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again and welcome to your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. Whilst high pressure will keep it generally dry for most of us through the coming week, there will be a lot of low cloud. That means it will be gloomy at times, with the best of any sunshine, generally speaking, across the north and the west of the UK. So high pressure dominates through the next few days. Very few ice bars on the chart, so not much in the way of breeze, and therefore things not really changing day to day. Through this evening, we will see generally cloudy skies developing across most of England and Wales, the best of any clear breaks in the west. And here we could see one or two fog patches, but these are most likely, I think, across parts of Scotland by the morning. With that cloud blanket coming in across England and Wales, it won't be as cool as it was last night. Temperatures generally holding up into the high single figures for most. But across parts of Scotland where the skies stay clear, we could see temperatures fall low enough to give a touch of frost in some rural areas first thing. Otherwise, some fairly dense patches of fog, particularly across the central belt first thing in the day. But that will slowly lift as we go through the morning. Quite cloudy skies for Northern Ireland and the vast majority of England and Wales too, with some drizzle or light showers here and there potentially too. But I'm hopeful that the cloud will break in a few spots as we go through the course of the day. Western parts of Wales, the far southwest of England perhaps most favoured, but I think the best of the sunshine on Monday will generally be across the far north of England and in particular across Scotland, where it should be a glorious afternoon for most of us. In the sunshine, the light winds will help it feel fairly pleasant for October, 15 or 16 degrees for some. In the south, though, under the cloudy skies, feeling relatively cool. Not much changes as we go into Tuesday either. Many parts of England and Wales still pretty gloomy and at times a little bit damp as well. The best of the sunshine for more northern parts of the UK, where Scotland and Northern England should see a reasonable amount. But overall, the cloudy theme will dominate through the rest of this week. Not much in the way of sunshine. Temperatures fairly close to average as well for the time of year.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
There's just 3 weeks left to see how you could be our biggest winner this year. First, you could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This luxury vehicle comfortably sleeps 4, has its own fitted kitchen and bathroom areas, and comes complete with fitted awning and bicycle rack. And that's not all, as we'll also give you a whopping £30,000 in tax-free cash to spend however you like. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray, are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get us on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. I'm going to do now, they are throwing things up the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable. What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
I think for far too long in this country, millions of people felt as though they weren't represented at all by the establishment media.
GB News was needed because there literally was no other voice. Everyone was saying the same thing.
GB News exists because there is a desperate need for fearless journalism that puts the people first.
GB News came on the scene as a disruptor, and it has always been a disruptor ever since.
The mainstream is all about keeping the status quo as it is, ticking along quite nicely. They don't want to ask difficult questions.
But journalism is journalism at the end of the day, and we're not here to serve any masters. Our masters are our audience.
Charlie Peters, he gave a voice to the victims of grooming gangs, and now, of course, it's led to a national inquiry.
GB News exists to make sure those concerns are put forward and people feel as though what they want to ask is put to those in power.
We don't take orders from anyone. We ask the questions our viewers and listeners want answering.
I know what's actually being discussed by my family and my friends.
Us ordinary, hard-working British people have had enough. We've had enough.
They're fed up with the same old establishment nonsense. Everything that we do is opening up conversations that others are afraid to go at.
Why are you illegally bringing people into Britain?
That is our job. Our job is to get to the truth.
If it's important to you watching or listening at home, then it's important to us as well.
That's what makes us the fearless champion of Britain.
It's 9 p.m. I'm Alex Armstrong. Tonight,
peace in the Middle East. We secured the release of all of the remaining hostages, and they should be released on Monday or Tuesday.
Donald Trump is the president of peace, isn't he? Might we finally see peace in the Middle East as a result of the president's actions? Well, meanwhile,